Hello everyone, this has been an interesting morning indeed, but we can't let negative people bring us down, so we're just going to keep on learning. I really don't have the time to go back and repeat a lot of this, so let's just get into the nitty-gritty of the lesson, okay? We're just talking about how to find x-intercepts and y-intercepts. And if you look over here, you have some vocabulary that describe x-intercepts and y-intercepts. And just for repetition's sake, x-intercepts all have 0 as their y value. Okay, a graph can have 0, 1, or 2 x-intercepts. So basically, you could have, here's your x and y axis, you can have a graph that has no x-intercepts. You could do like that. You can have a graph with 1 x-intercept, which is basically that means that your x-intercept is the same point as your vertex. It just touches the graph and then goes back up. And then most of the time, for our purposes, we're going to have ones that have 2 x-intercepts. So you could have 0, 1, or 2 x-intercepts. Y-intercepts, on the other hand, all quadratic functions are going to have a y-intercept, whether you see it or not. So like basically on this one, they do get wider as they go up. So eventually, it's going to look like this. Or for this one, it would look like that. They all have y-intercepts, whether you can see it when you graph it or not. They all have y-intercepts. Okay, and all y-intercepts will have 0 as their x value. And like I was saying in the Zoom call, this is the important part. Knowing which 0 is which. So for x-intercepts, y is 0, and for y-intercepts, x is 0. And we were talking about the y-intercept and x-intercepts from the graph from yesterday. So if you look at the graph from yesterday, you should see that the x-intercepts are -3, 0, and 6, 0. There were 2 of them. So on this one, this would be a price decrease. And on this one, they would make no money earned. And then on the 6, 0, this would be a price increase. It would increase the price by $6, but they wouldn't earn any money because no one would buy it. No money earned. So 3 and 4 here are really where we start getting into the math of it, okay? The x-intercepts of the graph of, in standard form, this is a standard form, really any form, you can do it this way, can be found by solving the equation by setting it equal to 0. So you take your function, whatever it is, and you set it equal to 0. So if you recall from yesterday, our function was -25x squared plus 75x plus 450. Okay? And if we want to find the x-intercepts, we're going to change our a of x to 0, because if you recall, function notation can be written like this. A of x is 0, f of x is y, So I'm going to set this guy equal to 0, because remember, x-intercepts have 0 as their y value. So if we change this to 0, we're essentially plugging in 0 for y. That's what we're doing. And then we have to solve this equation. We learned 2 methods last semester for solving equations, quadratic equations. There's factoring, and there's completing the square. There's also the quadratic formula that you learned in Algebra 1, and you can use it as well. I'm going to use graphing on this. I'm going to use factoring on this one. So first thing whenever we're factoring is look for greatest common factor. is there anything that I can divide all of these guys by to make my number smaller, to make it easier? And if you notice, everything is divisible by negative 25. I can divide all of these guys by negative 25. So 450 divided by negative 25, we get minus 18. So again, this only works if it is a common factor of all the terms. So everything was divisible by negative 25, so I just divided everything by negative 25. And so we factored out the negative 25. And since we're solving here, I can cancel out the negative 25. And now we just have 0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 18. And we just need to factor this guy. So if we recall, our new a value is going to be 1, our b value is negative 3, and our c value is negative 18. So when we're factoring, we're looking for factors of negative 18 that add up to negative 3. And in this case, that looks like it's going to be negative 6 times 3. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So if we make our box to factor this guy, we've got x squared here, negative 18 here, and then negative 6x and 3x. And since I did factor out that negative 25, I have a much easier problem. This is x, and this is x, which means this is 3, and this is negative 6. So we have 0 equals x plus 3 times x minus 6. And now that it's factored, we can use the zero product rule. X plus 3 equals 0, x minus 6 equals 0, and then solve both equations. We get negative 3, and we get 6, which is what we had on our graph. So, just to recap, I set the equation equal to 0, and then I factored it. I solved it by factoring. So we got negative 3 and 6. Okay, so it says recall that x represents the price increase, the price of the calendars. Explain what negative values represent. So since x is the increase, and we have a negative number, negative numbers would mean our price is a decrease. Negative means the price is decreased. Okay, so it's not on this page. So just forget about that question. And to find y-intercepts, that's when x is 0, okay? So if we want to find the y-intercept algebraically for our function from yesterday, all we need to do is plug in 0. And like I was saying in the Zoom meeting, this is probably the easiest thing you'll do. When I plug in 0 here, I get negative 25 times 0 squared plus 75 times 0 plus 450. And something wonderful happens here. This is going to be 0, this is going to be 0, and we're just left with 450. So our y-intercept is 0, 450. And honestly, and that about sums up what we need for this lesson. How to find the x-intercepts and how to find the y-intercepts. So for today, I just want y'all to do this one example over here. Just do the best you can. I just want to see what you can do. So make sure you upload a picture of the warm-up and this problem. And I'll show you the warm-up one more time. Okay, the warm-up was to find the vertex of this quadratic function. And all this down here, the green is the problem. Oops. All this right here was me working it out. So let's just make sure in life that we are always being considerate of how other people might feel about our actions. You know, even if we're unhappy about something or we feel like an injustice has been served, you know, there's always a better way to deal with it. Always. So I hope y'all have a good day, and I'm sorry if you were in the Zoom call and you got to witness what happened. Just so y'all know, I do record those, and I do, you know, report those kinds of things to administration, so the person responsible will suffer the consequences. As usual, y'all message me. I appreciate all the support that I got and messages from students after. It really means a lot. I hope you'll have a great Gator day.